this script was such a gift, and I just will go back to that always. It was extraordinary to read and then to see what Mary did, how she brought it to the screen. I mean, I knew it was something magical was happening, but then when I saw the movie, I was like, oh wow, that's what you were doing. You're a trickster, you know.
There was a lot of trust me moments. I started writing this on an iPad. And now we're here. So, but what's interesting about that span of time of working on one project is that the bulk of those years is trying to get somebody to agree to take the risk to make the movie. And so it was a really a process of not giving up, a lot of no's. I really deeply believed that I had to make this movie, that I would make this movie. I never doubted that I wouldn't, but I didn't know how. And what's funny is then when you look back and now I'm here, it's like, oh, it's great. But during those 7 years, there's no external confirmation that I'm going to be sitting here. And I had to really, it was tenacity at a high level, at an obnoxious level, I think, to some people. But that we got here. And then we shot in 27 days. And then, so it's this funny thing of like 7 years, 27 days. So that's been the experience. Yeah.
It's funny, the people often ask like, oh, how did you recover after a day of working and this and that? And when you have children, you come home and they couldn't give a shit. Okay, they're just like, yeah. And that's a gift in a way. It's very grounding and all those sorts of things. But I love that discussion of like, and a lot of the talk of what we said, of what we discussed in rehearsals was like, who was Linda before this, before this event, before this crisis, before she became a mother? Who was this person? And I needed to figure that out through the script, through like the crisis in the script. But like, who is this person before that? And that's something I worked on a lot with Mary and also with my person I work with, my coach. So it was, that was for me a key in unlocking the behavior now, because motherhood can reveal a lot of aspects of you that you don't like, that are really not helpful, and that
you didn't know about.
You didn't know that you had, and that's something the story really delves into, which I loved. Yeah.
Do you feel like if you had done this before you were another, would he scared to hatch at you?
It is, yeah. No, I think totally. It's and it's interesting though, chatting to people last night, people who aren't parents were also saying to me, look, I related to it in this way and that way. And that's something that's always refreshing to hear, that it's like, it's such a specific retelling of this situation that, as you were saying last night, percentage of mothers wouldn't have experienced this kind of crisis with a very sick child, and thank God. And but the specificity of it then makes it universal. And so anyone in a crisis, or a caretaker in a crisis, or anyone at the end of their rope can know the feelings that this movie is kind of expressing.
Yeah, caretaker burnout, which also comes into play in the therapy sequences. Nobody is capable of helping anybody, even though that's everybody's job is to be. It's like, I always imagine it as the stacking dolls of helpers, but nobody is helping anybody in the movie, because it's gotten to a point where it's beyond that. Like Linda, nobody can help Linda. Linda has to come to it herself. And that's the ending I always describe as a very hopeful ending, because whether it's going to be true or not, Linda comes to a place where she can see a different life. The idea of being a mother is that you've sacrificed something to bring this other being into the world, that you've made them in your body. Now they're a person. And so everything continues to be for them. And it's a sacrifice of, I can't speak for all mothers, but for a lot of women, of personhood, of personal identity, you become somebody's mom, but you weren't always somebody's mom. And so how to make that balance of being a person that you identify as yourself, but also being a good enough mother. And I do feel like I have seen some projects come out where they're getting into that. I love for more to be written and directed by women, not particularly interested in the male point of view of the subject. But that's happening more. And most of what I learned about being a mother or being a woman or being who I'm supposed to be was told to me by men. And so I think that the more women, and not just women, but other voices, underrepresented voices too, I feel like everyone knows it's time for us to tell our own stories now. We don't want to be told anymore what we are. And that's very important to me.
What's a movie that you watch over and over again, whether for comfort, inspiration?
I'm like a Seinfeld girl. I'm so corny, but if I put that on, or if I see it on like, TBS comedy or something, I'm just like, that's it. I'm watching this.
My daughter just discovered Seinfeld. She's 14. And so I'm now reliving, but she's showing it to me like I never saw it.
And
She's like,
really likes it.
She's like, you got to see this thing with the puffy shirt. It's incredible. And I'm like, I know about the puffy shirt. But anyway, I'm living through it again, discovering it. And
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
and that is comfort. That's just like eating a tub of ice cream.